What is going on, guys? My name is Taylor Stuber, and I'm here to break down this 4-game NBA slate on Draftkings and PrizePicks.com. If you guys are new here, welcome. If you guys are a returning viewer, welcome back. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you guys could hit the subscribe button, that would be greatly appreciated. Likes and comments also greatly appreciated. But yeah, let's just jump right into the slate. Again, guys, I do stream an hour before lock every single day right here on this channel, so if you do hit that subscribe button, you will be notified whenever I go live. There should be some news coming out between now and lock, but there is really only like one injury we're waiting for. So we will talk about that in the live stream later, as well as answering as many questions as I possibly can to help you guys create your lineups. And actually, I wanted to give one free PrizePicks play away since I did just get news that Kristaps Porzingis is officially ruled out in this game. This first game, it's not on the Draftkings or FanDuel main slate. But it is on PrizePicks. That's one of the good things about PrizePicks over here. So with him being ruled out, I'm going to hit the over on Luka Doncic. You know, he's been pretty unlucky the last few games. The first half of his game 2 games ago was just so bad. But then he ended up putting up like 30 fantasy points in the second half. And then last game ended up getting blown out by the Denver Nuggets. I think this game should be competitive as Vegas indicates. It currently has a spread of just 4.5 points in favor of the Dallas Mavericks. So I'm going to take the over on Luka Doncic, 46 fantasy points, and you have to pair that with somebody. It's going to be in the same game. That's going to be the over Harrison Barnes, 32 fantasy points. He has been playing 37 minutes per game so far this year. Has taken on a larger offensive role so far with Marvin Bagley out of the rotation. So I like Harrison Barnes because instead of Bagley being out there shooting all the time, he's being replaced by guys like Mo Harkless, like Davion Mitchell, who don't shoot all that much. So I'm going to take the over Harrison Barnes, 32 fantasy points, in the over 46 Luka Doncic fantasy points. If you tailed me yesterday in my video, we took the overs on Dennis Schroeder and Jalen Suggs. Now, it was a sketchy road for Dennis Schroeder to get there, needed overtime to do it, but that was with him shooting like 0 for 6 in regulation. Should have got there a lot easier. Jalen Suggs easily got there. But yeah, that's my free play. I will end up posting another one in Patreon later on today. Again, guys, use code Taylor, TAYLOR, for 100% match bonus up to $100. But we will start off with the Portland Trailblazers versus the Charlotte Hornets, a 230.5 over under. Trailblazers are currently 1.5 point favorites, and I wanted to show this over here. So the Trailblazers opened as 1-point dogs, but moved a full 2.5 points in their favor, despite only 43% of the bets being on them. So that means a large amount of big money is being placed on the Blazers, and also the over-under went from 228.5 to 230.5, despite only 47% of the bets being placed on the over. So sharp money is definitely on the Trailblazers and the over in this game. So that makes me want to play some of these guys, specifically Damian Lillard. The roles kind of flipped last game, or the last 2 games rather. Damian off to a very slow start, but the last couple of games they've been blowing teams out, and Damian Lillard has been a large part of that. This game should be competitive. Damian Lillard, one of the best spin-up options on the entire slate. There's only 4 games, so that's not saying all too much, but I definitely prefer Damian Lillard to anybody else on this team. Norman Powell ended up returning last game. Was limited to just 24 minutes, but he lost 3 minutes due to blowout, so he would have played around 27 minutes. His minutes limit will probably increase this game. Should be up in that 30-minute range. But even with him returning, Anthony Simmons' role on this team really didn't move. He still continued to play low 20s minutes, has been very active this year when he is out there on the court. Only $3,800 if you need a value play. He's somebody you could look towards. And then Jusuf Nurkic, I mean, his minutes have been all over the place for just like weird reasons. They've been more willing to give Cody Zeller minutes this year now that he's on the team. And Nurkic, you know, I think in a normal scenario, he's going to play 28 to 30 minutes. We just really haven't seen it all that much this year because they've been dealing with so many blowouts, either one way or the other. I think this is a pretty good buy low opportunity for Jusuf Nurkic. He's been good like he's always been on a per minute basis. The minutes just haven't been there for whatever reason, move over to the Charlotte Hornets. They have no injuries. It looks like Terry Rozier should be returning in this game. PJ Washington has been back. He was doubtful last game, got moved up to questionable like 5 minutes before the game, and then ended up playing like 1 minute before the game. And so that ruined what we had in Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee, really only good if he's going to get that a ton of minutes. But with PJ Washington back, his minutes aren't secure at all. And PJ Washington's minutes aren't secure either. They're going to be splitting a ton of those minutes at the center spot, and not enough minutes to really pay off their respective price tags. And yeah, with Terry Rozier being back, the rest of this team, their prices are inflated as if Terry Rozier is out. Now Terry Rozier is in, and you can't really get to any of these guys on this team. Kelly Oubre should get bumped back down to the bench, and Cody Martin should see his minutes decrease significantly with the return of Terry Rozier. Move over to the Utah Jazz versus the Milwaukee Bucks. A 224.5 over under. The Jazz are currently 2-point favorites, which is pretty crazy to say, but they are missing Drew Holiday on the Bucks side. The Jazz are going to be without Rudy Gay. Mike Conley should return. He missed yesterday, which was the first leg of a back-to-back due to a sore right knee. Looks like he should give it a go today. If he is ruled out, Joe Ingles will start again. Clarkson will see more minutes. Regardless, I think Bojan Bogdanovic is too cheap at $5,200. A good cash game play. Doesn't really covet all that much upside, but he's pretty secure to playing 32-34 minutes in these competitive games, and he's only $5,200. He's gonna shoot when he's out there, can grab some boards. One of the better point per dollar plays on the entire slate. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Usually I never consider these guys, but the fact that the studs are so scarce on the slate, I don't mind playing them, especially in a competitive game. Not many of their games are competitive. If I had to choose between the two, it is probably Rudy Gobert. Should be able to do whatever he wants against this Milwaukee front court. They've been starting Giannis at the 5 with no Brook Lopez. I guess they have Bobby Portis back, but he's undersized. And then they have Sandro Mamu, and he's pretty inexperienced. Rudy Gobert should be able to do whatever he wants against this current Milwaukee Bucks team. The Bucks are going to be without Brook Lopez, Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, and Semi Ojeleye. Semi Ojeleye, it was already noted that he was going to play yesterday, rest today, and then Bobby Portis rested yesterday, is going to give it a go today. Bobby Portis should only play mid-teens minutes. I don't really expect him playing all that much coming back from injury. But again, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best spin-up option on the entire slate. Don't care what the matchup is. Without Drew Holiday, his numbers are through the roof since the beginning of last year. If you have the money to get up to Giannis, I would make sure to do that. But yeah, this team is getting healthier, even though it doesn't seem like that. But with Bobby Portis back and Rodney Hood back in the rotation, it really takes away from guys like Grayson Allen, Jordan Nwora specifically, Pat Connaughton. I don't mind Allen and Connaughton. Nwora, there's no way I'm playing him with Bobby Portis back. And then George Hill will continue to start and play 30-plus minutes in the absence of Drew Holiday. He's up to $4,000 now. We got him at $3,600 yesterday, and we were playing him over Cade Cunningham. Don't really understand why people were playing Cade, but I guess we'll talk about him right here. The Detroit Pistons versus the Brooklyn Nets. 213 over-under. Nets are currently 12-point favorites. Isaiah Livers and Chris Smith are both out. Cade Cunningham debuted last game. We got word before that he was going to play 20 to 25 minutes. Even at his price tag, I didn't really think that was enough to pay it off. Especially on a 10-game slate. On a 4-game slate, it's definitely more viable. But he ended up playing 19 minutes in this game. Although the first half he played a ton of minutes, and it looked like he was going to exceed the 25 minutes limit, but they ended up cutting it really short in the second half. He shot like 1 for 8, had 7 rebounds though, which was promising. If he knocked down some of his shots, he would have ended up being a pretty decent value play. I don't mind playing him here, but I'm probably shying away from it, especially at what his ownership is going to be. I'm more inclined to get to a guy like Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk in the last few games has closed over Isaiah Stewart. And if this game is competitive at all, and Kelly Olynyk in the backup squad is leading another comeback to keep the game at least competitive into the fourth quarter. Kelly Olynyk will probably close it out again. He's a 1.23 fantasy point per minute player so far this year, and he's only $5,400. Again, a strict GPP play. Anybody on this Detroit team is a volatile tournament only play. I just wanted to mention it. And then with Cunningham being back, the shot volume of Jeremy Grant and Sadiq Bey should both take pretty significant hits here. The Brooklyn Nets are going to be without Kyrie Irving, Nick Claxton, and Paul Millsap. Last game without Claxton, LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin split all 48 center minutes in favor of LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge ended up closing out, playing like the last 16 minutes of the game. So I like him a good bit here at $4,800. All he needs is the minutes because we know he is a good per minute producer. So without Claxton, I think we see a similar situation, but now with Paul Millsap also out, I think some of the minutes at the 4 spot is going to open up, and that eliminates no chance of them running that 3-man center rotation that we saw a couple games back when we got on to some LaMarcus Aldridge, because that's the only time that has ever happened where they ran a 3-man center rotation that included Aldridge, Millsap, and Blake Griffin. But Millsap and Claxton are both out, so that kind of eliminates the chances of that happening. And maybe there is a opportunity for Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge to even play next to each other since there is no Paul Millsap. So I love LaMarcus Aldridge today. James Harden last game got to the line 19 times after getting to the line just a combined 15 times through the first 5 games. So, I mean, he clearly figured it out, at least for that game. He's viable on this slate. I just prefer Kevin Durant to him. And then Bruce Brown, I think his minutes are relatively secure. Even if this game ends up blowing out, Bruce Brown will likely get that blowout run. So I like Bruce Brown quite a bit. But it's Durant, Harden, Aldridge, and Bruce Brown from this Brooklyn Nets team. Move over to the Houston Rockets versus the Los Angeles Lakers at 220.5 over under. Lakers are currently 11-point favorites. The Rockets are going to be without Daniel House and John Wall. Kevin Porter Jr. is questionable, so he ended up leaving. He played the first half of last game, didn't come out in the second half. DJ Augustin has been the direct backup for him and started the second half for him. So if we get no Kevin Porter Jr., DJ Augustin is likely to grab the start. He is only 3,100. It would be hard not to play him. Even if this game blows out and he only plays like 20-something minutes, he's only $3,100, and the upside is immense if this game is competitive. Excuse me. Also, Kevin Porter Jr. leads this team in usage percentage, so this opens up more shots and more assist opportunities for guys like Christian Wood, Jalen Green, and Jae'Sean Tate. All these guys are going to play massive minutes. If this game does stay within striking distance, that is the question. Currently 11-point dogs here in Los Angeles, but we've seen upsets like this before, or at least teams put up a fight to where the game is competitive. We've seen the Thunder do it multiple times this year already. We've seen the Rockets do it multiple times this year. So if you think this game is competitive and you want to play some of these guys like Jalen Green, Jae'Sean Tate, I think they are cheap enough to play by themselves. But if you're playing one of these studs on the Lakers side, you definitely want to bring it back with one of these guys, because if you're spending that much money for one of the top Lakers, you're assuming that you are going to receive your full allotment of minutes. And if you're going to receive your full allotment of minutes, this game is going to need to be a competitive one. And that means the Rockets are doing their thing. Also wanted to mention Alperen Sengun actually got blowout run, which we really haven't seen so far this year. Whenever they are in blowouts, they would go with Usman Garuba as their closing center, but they ended up playing Sengun through the fourth quarter in their last blowout. So if he's going to start getting blowout run, as well as having a steady, 16 to 18 minute role in competitive games, but he has the upside of playing 24-25 minutes like he saw last time out, he's a great tournament option at 4,200. We know how good he is on a per minute basis. The last team of the slate, the Los Angeles Lakers, are going to be without Talon Horton-Tucker, Trevor Ariza, Kendrick Nunn. LeBron James and Wayne Ellington are questionable. I'm expecting all three of LeBron, Westbrook, and Anthony Davis, who is probable to play tonight. So it makes it tricky deciding between the three. I almost always side with Anthony Davis here. I think he's going to play more minutes than the other two guys, with him being younger. This is an amazing matchup for the Houston Rockets. If this game is competitive, these guys should destroy these price tags. This is the best matchup in the entire league. And then Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench. They like to close with him. If this game is competitive, he'll definitely get it done at $5,000. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for the Los Angeles Lakers. Again, if you guys are playing the Lakers today, the stud options, I would make sure to bring it back with at least one of the Houston Rockets guys, because you're going to want to have that correlation there. And it's the same thing over here with price picks. I mean, you need to be, I feel like not many people are going with correlation. They're just like looking at a pure projection and choosing the over under on that. I don't think you get very much value there because their projections are pretty steady. I think you need to look at these spots where injuries are looming on that player's team, and you can take value there. So Kevin Porter Jr. is on the board right here, so they're assuming he plays. Okay, so Jalen Green right here at 25, this is a good example. Kevin Porter Jr. is questionable. There's a real chance he misses this game. Jalen Green, they have his projection at 25 right now, so that's assuming Kevin Porter Jr. is in. So if you take the over on Jalen Green, you're not drawing dead, because their projection is somewhere around 25 fantasy points, and he could get that done easily even with Kevin Porter in. But you get more value in playing the over on him, because there is a good chance Kevin Porter Jr. misses this game. And as soon as Kevin Porter Jr. is ruled out, if he is ruled out, that line is going to move up to like 27, 28 fantasy points, and you're going to have extreme value on that. And even if Kevin Porter Jr. plays, again, the value is definitely still there, because you're not drawing dead just because Kevin Porter Jr. ends up playing. It's just some strategies like that. And I've also been deploying these second half strategies. I kind of messed it up yesterday pretty bad. I could have had a pretty big day on prize picks, but I messed up one player. Okay, so it was an example like this. So the Warriors were winning by like 15 points like midway through the second quarter, and I'm like, and this was in Golden State, I'm like, there's a pretty good chance that we get this game blowing out against the Thunder. So I took the under on all the guys in the Golden State Warriors and Oklahoma City game. But with this, you can't take all unders in one game in game. So you have to take somebody from another team or take somebody with an over, but it wouldn't make much sense to have somebody with an over in this. So I selected another guy, and that was Jakob Poeltl, and I took the under on him because he was dealing with foul trouble in the first half, and I'm like, man, if he picks up one early foul in the third quarter, he's definitely going to hit the under. He didn't pick up that foul. He ended up hitting the over by half a point. And so instead of, I shouldn't be complaining, I still profited $50 here, but I could have won $500 if I would have got this last selection right. And I did it here again because I felt really confident Jakob Poeltl was in a good opportunity to do that. So, I could have made a cool $1,000 here, but instead I made $200. But yeah, I could have mixed and matched it a bit more. But yeah, if you ever see a game that's blowing out and they still have the second half unders available, I would just go ahead and slam those. It's a good value opportunity. Again, if you guys want to sign up and deposit using code Taylor, TAYLOR, you guys will receive a 100% match bonus up to $100. And I give away a lot of my plays on here, Patreon, my live stream, and my Discord. Whenever injuries are coming out, we're pretty much hammering one of these sides on some of these players. But appreciate you guys being here. Best of luck, and until next time, peace.